My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be L.M. Montgomery Video 27, Minor Characters Part 1. So here is my novel, L.M. Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield. Here's the summary of the novel. In 1938, with another world war looming and her own personal problems threatening to overwhelm her, acclaimed Canadian author L.M. Montgomery begins to write what she has decided will be the final Anne novel, the final novel with Anne as a character. As she works on the new book, she recalls the days when Anne of Green Gables became a worldwide literary phenomenon and the dilemma that she faced at that time, whether to write a series of novels in which Anne would perpetually remain the child the world had come to know and love, or to allow Anne to grow to adulthood with all the agonizing torments of the one who had given her life, L.M. Montgomery. Every word of my novel takes place inside the mind of the main character, L.M. Montgomery. During the 50,000-word thought that is the text of this novel, L.M. Montgomery thinks of herself in two ways. Number one, she thinks of herself as the individual who is a writer, a wife, a mother, and a member of the community. In addition, while thinking her way through what I would call the surface of her life, the everyday events and the encounters of her life, number two, she also thinks on another level of her mind about the novel that she is writing. So she thinks about her everyday life, and she thinks about the novel that she's writing. In all 16 chapters of my novel, she's writing her new novel, Anne of Ingleside. It's quite logical that she thinks about her novel's characters as she is writing. In 7 of the 16 chapters of my novel, she's thinking of 3 different minor characters per chapter for a total of 21 minor characters in the novel, the 16 chapters of thought in her mind. In this video presentation, I will read her thoughts about 9 of these minor characters. So, we'll go to chapter 3, page 18, first of all. Here we are. So this is L.M. Montgomery thinking in the character of a minor character of her novel. Somebody poisoned our family dog. Why would anybody do such a thing? Somebody gave it something poison for it to eat. Dad says it might have been an accident. Mom says at least it didn't suffer. We found it dead on the porch. All we kids loved the dog. Why did somebody have to poison it? I don't want to live in a place where you have to bury your dog. Okay, that's one character in the novel Anne of Ingleside. Here's another, L.M. Montgomery inside the mind of a minor character. Anne is so visibly tired. Gilbert is obviously depressed. Anne tells me the aunt is poisoning their lives. The aunt never had a friend in her whole life. Her name should be Blight, not Blythe. Squeezing the laughter out of every family meal. The aunt has money and a home of her own. I'm advising Anne to turn her out, throw the mutineer overboard and save the crew. Okay, and now a third character in the mind of L.M. Montgomery is this one. It's a bright red parasol. I'm holding it in my hand as we walk along. A gift that her mother gave to Nan. Nan won't be the same tomorrow. This will shake her out of her shoes. If Nan is not Nan, then her mother isn't Anne. Now I'll have to tell her the story. The story isn't really true. I never meant for things to go this far. Okay, let's go to chapter 5 for 3 more characters. Page 34. Not exactly Cain and Abel. Alexander and his brother Jeffrey. One made money and the other made friends. The rich well know the value of $1. He wouldn't lend his brother $100 for an operation. gave him $100 for a tombstone after he died. What's the lesson? What is the lesson? Let me think for just a while. There's no daisy in the field, but has a flaw. Another minor character. But can she do it, I wonder? I wonder if she can do what needs to be done. Anthony was as plain as a plow or a harrow. Anthony never had no poetry in his life. His obituary is the last chance he'll ever have. She says she really never knew much about Anthony. Well, all the better for the three of us, I say. I'll tell you the best, and you can put it all into rhyme. Okay, that was page 35. We go to page 37 for another minor character. They all laugh at me behind my back. They don't realize that I know that they do. Do you know what Mary Maria said? One of them will say each time they need a laugh. Some eat ice cream at a funeral as a treat. You can dig people up and bury them again. Don't forget to eat everything on your plate. They don't seem to realize that what she says is about themselves. When she talks, she shines a lantern on their lives. Every one of them is living in the dark. Okay, then we go to chapter 7 for 3 more characters. Page 50. Well, I've never believed in spiritualism, that's for sure. Never gave it credence of any kind at all. But I'm sure I heard young Walter crying out for me in the night. And whatever did I find? Young Walter on the landing. He should have been at least 6 miles away. He was crying and cold and hungry. Thought his mother had up and died. Can't tell me that people only talk with words. Another minor character. I've never had a friend. Not a drop of love or comfort in old age. There's poison in the wellspring of my life. Bought her a tea set from Toronto, and she turned up her nose. Gilbert admonished me when I said that I lacked love. Little Shirley called me ugly yesterday. I've tried so hard to be part of this family. All the family wishes me gone. I'll try to think of an excuse so I can leave. Then we go to page 53 for this. This little girl is disappointed. She sees the broken shutters. She sees the sagging steps. I tell her I got sick of living with relations. I tell her I live here on my own. I tell her I'm lonely since Papa died. Oh, I hope she'll come and visit me. I talk of Papa and cookies and pigs. It's not enough. I can see it in her eyes. So a minor character then who lives alone, who hopes a little girl will come and visit her, and she can tell that the little girl isn't going to come back, isn't interested in visiting this lonely old people. These are all minor characters in the novel Anne of Ingleside, a bright, cheery novel. Well, dark imagery is worked into that novel in the form of minor characters. It's obvious that when a writer is writing a work of fiction, a novel in the case of L.M. Montgomery, who's working on her new novel, Anne of Ingleside, an author puts himself or herself inside the mind of the characters of that novel. One of the challenges of reading my novel is to try to figure out what the main character, L.M. Montgomery, is thinking. It's pretty obvious that she's thinking with the characters of her novel, employing them as imagery in her own mind and in her book. The challenge is to figure out why she's thinking with the characters of her novel. As she works on the novel, we realize that she has many challenges, many difficulties, many problems in her own personal life. What we as readers can ask ourselves is this, 2 dashes here. Number 1, does L.M. Montgomery imagine herself as inside the minds of these minor characters of her novel, Anne of Ingleside, simply because she's a writer and needs to know what words she should put on the page. Or number 2, does L.M. Montgomery imagine herself as inside the minds of these minor characters, considering their relationships with the other characters of the novel in order to try to understand and improve her own personal relationships with the people in her own life? The answer, your answer as a reader of my novel, will not only help you to understand what's going on in the mind of the main character, L.M. Montgomery, but will also help you decide whether L.M. Montgomery is merely the writer of entertainment novels or is actually the writer of serious works of literature. So, this is my novel, L.M. Montgomery. I Gave You Life. It's available on Amazon where there's more information. It's available at roxmillspress.com, which is my publisher's website. It's also available, well, it's not available, sorry, but there are 2 books available on my website. My planning notebook, which I wrote while planning and writing the novel, and my journal, my reflective journal, which I wrote while I was polishing the novel. So go to johnpassville.ca, click on the cover icons, and you'll have the text of both those books to read if you wish. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.